Welcome to the Frontier Leader Show. Today, Martin is talking to Lewis Maleh.
Every night, our AI agent reflects on what they've done that day, what's done well, what hasn't done well, writes it in a Google Doc for us, shares it with us on WhatsApp, and then writes it into her memory. We call it her, we call it Nina. Write it into her memory. And it's iterating and it's learning. And it's a crazy thing. And we communicate on WhatsApp. I have a one-on-one, we have a team chat. I mean, it's like just an incredible help. And the more you engage, the more you input, the more it learns and the more useful it is.
Okay, welcome to the Frontier Leader Show. I'm Martin Wheatley, and each week I speak to leaders, coaches, practitioners, and technologists working out what good leadership looks like in an AI-shaped world. While you still have the app open, if you could hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode, that would be fantastic. And if you want a practical starting point for leading with AI, I have a growing number of resources at the AIleaderlab.com, and the link will be in the show notes. But this week we are joined by Lewis Maleh. He is the CEO and founder of Bentley Lewis, a global award-winning executive search firm. He's extremely active on LinkedIn, sharing his knowledge and expertise around the recruitment industry, from shifts in the recruitment trends through to adopting AI, and how he has specifically adopted AI within Bentley Lewis and his firm. So this is going to be a fantastic episode with some real key takeaways. He also has his own podcast, The Recruitment Show with Lewis Maleh. I listen to that all the time. I highly recommend that you go and listen to that after you've listened to this episode. So without further ado, Lewis, good to meet you.
Great to see you again. Thank you so much for the kind intro. Thank you.
And just before we kick off, I needed to say happy birthday for Bentley Lewis with 16 years under the belt.
Thank you. I was thinking my birthday's not until next month. But thank you. Yeah, 16 years we completed at end of last month. So it's been crazy. It doesn't feel, I should say cheesy, but it doesn't feel like I've even started yet. There's been so many like things going on in the world, and this AI, tech, whatever. But yeah, and it's been quite the journey.
Yeah, I bet it has. Certainly recently, but with all the changes you've seen over the years and COVID and remote working and coming in and out of London and everything, I bet it's been a journey. But we'll start with the recruitment world then, and then we'll kind of get more and more technical or more and more specific into some of the examples of AI. But within the 16 years, let's just start there. How has the recruitment industry kind of changed over that time for the executive market that you're catering for?
It has changed in some ways just incredibly, and then in some ways it hasn't changed at all. And so, if you think ultimately the crux of what I do, it's human to human. We are calling humans who are in perfectly good jobs, maybe quite happy, not expecting our phone call, and convincing them to move to another job with another human. And so the human aspect of what I do in executive search, it's still there until we're going to be gardening and no one's working or whatever, if you subscribe to Elon Musk's vision of the future. But the kind of the tools around like how we do stuff, whether it's sourcing candidates, assessing, whether it's transcribing interview notes, all of the different bits of an exec search process has just changed incredibly with all of these wonderful tools that have been coming and coming. So it's been a really interesting time to be in exec search. And as long as and using these tools is incredible. And then seeing how jobs have been changing and the content of work and all of those things for me have just been fascinating.
And just going back to when you started Bentley Lewis, how has your journey, I know it's a cliched term, journey, but how has your trajectory gone from back in 2010 when you set it up to now, obviously managing a firm in London to a global company?
So I started on my own. Had a little friend of mine owned a building in the West End in Fitzrovia, and they had a top floor, small top floor. Milliner was in, so Milliner makes hats, hat lady, and she had like a little desk in the corner, and they're like, "Hey, pay for the cleaning, and you can use the office." I was like, "Oh my god!" So it was just me on my own, and I had a 6-month non-compete clause, so I couldn't speak to anyone that knew me before. And then I literally just did a list of 1,200 companies in London I wanted to recruit for, and you still have the yellow pages back then. So for those that don't know, yellow pages, like A to Z of companies and numbers and stuff. And I had a wide desk phone. So my phone was like that, permanently attached, had a bad neck for years. And I was just calling people and just saying, "Hey, it's Lewis." And back then, cold calling was quite a thing. And I would just go. And my first client was Aberdeen Asset Management. So it's quite high up in the alphabet. spoke to this lady. She's like, come see me, we've got a search. And I went, oh my God, we filled it. And then, and I got a check sent in the post for £17,500. And this was like month 5 or 6. And I'm like, this could work. Since then, no one's ever sent a check. It's all digital since then. But it was just crazy. LinkedIn started a few years before, and yeah, I was marching around the city, highly caffeinated, having lots of coffees and like my little briefcase thing, and just marching around. And I'd started in financial services, lots of insurance recruiting, and it was just great. And then as things evolve, the way you do business development, the way you do search, everything starts to evolve and things. And for my industry, it gets better with age. You know more people, you have a longer track record, and so it's just changed incredibly. And I mean now, I also remember like I took an advert out in one of the papers. It's like a couple of £1,000, and it was like, if you want the best exec search firm on the planet, give me a call. And now, we can record a podcast, or you can write something on LinkedIn, costs you nothing, as if people see it. And I started to get work through content I did, and that was so I started doing podcasting and everything about 7, 8 years ago. And you just kind of just evolve and add stuff to your game, keeping the core kind of human element. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been crazy.
I bet it has. Well, what a growth story for one. But having gone through, like we said, COVID, remote working with other people in other countries as well. I bet has been quite a. Has that been quite a learning journey, or was that
Yeah,
quite?
I mean, for the most part, up until like obviously like COVID 2020, in and out of the office. Up until then, it was 5 days in the office. Everyone was in London. Classic. Just you rock up. It was 8:30 to 6 minimum, and it was just like you'd expect of. And then COVID hit. Actually, sorry, before COVID, we opened in America. And so in 2019, we hired our first like remote worker. They had a little serviced office in Manhattan. And then COVID hit, and this thing started to change. A few of my team wanted to still work for us, but wanted to move to a different country, where kind of back to near their family and things like that. And I was, I was like really open to it, and worked with these people before. I trusted them, and then kind of mentally you start moving from, why isn't where's Martin? He has, in the office kind of thing. I trust you to do the output and do your thing, and then being thoughtful about how to stay, as a team, like the culture, the learning, development, ways of working, the tools of how we collaborate and things. Just a really good. You just kind of built as you go a bit for us. I mean, we've always been using Google Workspace, and then just they kept on evolving and bringing out new products, which made collaborating much easier. And then it just, so now we are fully remote.
Yeah.
I have colleagues in, the US, UK, Europe, Tokyo, Mumbai, etc. And I think we're actually closer. I'm closer with my team than I was when I was in an office, I think, because it's more thoughtful and,
Yeah, and I bet obviously going from making phone calls out the yellow pages to now running a remote firm across the world, the tools have changed, but the human interaction and the nurturing of not only your leads, your clients, but the team has to be a bit more thoughtful, I suppose, in terms of how you architect that.
Yeah. I mean, in the office, it was like, hey, mate, how you doing? Whatever, almost kind of, cursory, hey, how's it going? Whereas now it's like we have it in the diary. It's like, hey, we catch up. Usually when someone joins, I'm like, what's our cadence? Like, how often do you want to catch up? And we decide together, and, you and I maybe, we decide, right, we want to do 2 catch-ups a week or whatever. It's in the diary.
Yeah.
And then we actually have a catch up, and, it might be about a search or, the work we're doing, or might just be a general chat. Because I'm a big believer in, if you make an effort to get to know your team and your team members or your boss or whoever, even just a little chit chat, when big stuff happens or you have important conversations, you already have the lines of communication and stuff. And then when you're remote, for me anyway, I was much more thoughtful about that. And so we have, these catch ups. We have team calls. We have 1 team call a day, not mandatory. People pop in. We do a download once a week. So it's thoughtful, and I think like anything, the more you lean in, the more you get out of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. I think the old days, even though it wasn't that long ago, of 5 days
Yeah.
in the office, I think is such a weird way to look at it now. When you factor in all the technology you've got, the way that you can have that flexibility with people and let your team work how they want to a large extent, depending on the role, obviously.
Yeah. However, I've got to say, like I hired a guy. It's actually an old friend of mine. We used to work together in our previous firm, and he was remote. He was in Canada, and he was like, 6 months in, it's like, I just want to have a beer with you, mate. Like I wanna go in. I want the office. So I kind of got to, start to realize that, it sounds great for remote work. It sounds great. You can just do whatever you want and things, but also you kind of realize that doesn't suit everyone. Some people
Yeah.
do want to go into an office. I mean, I do get the human contact. I go into the city, I go meet people face to face, but also I do video. So I think it suits some people and it doesn't suit others. So I think you have to be thoughtful for yourself of like, what kind of job do I want and what does that look like? And then also if you're leading a team, different people work differently.
Mm.
And if you're able to construct something that suits different people, then I think you're winning.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's different strokes for different folks, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So obviously the big kind of leverage has been technology, obviously with AI in terms of the more recent wave of AI rollouts since the end of 2022 when ChatGPT went mainstream. How have you seen we'll start with the recruitment industry before we come back to Bentley Lewis, but how have you seen the recruitment industry change over the last 4 years?
Specifically for firms like mine.
For firms like yours, and then just kind of in general in the marketplace, I suppose, hiring, how firms are hiring, how they're changing to use more technology that way.
I mean, it's changed incredibly for many
Mm.
levels. So if you think about how companies hire, I mean, if you think of like, let me on one end of the scale, let's say, McKinsey get 1 million applications a year for entry level jobs. And so, that kind of level, entry level, mid level, you have a lot of big firms and mid-sized firms that are advertising to apply for job ads. They have an AI tool that is often screening the applications and then rating the applications. You even have some where they'll send you a video link for an interview with an avatar. So they'll video an interview. And then maybe if you're lucky, you get through to a human. That's at one end of the scale, right? And so imagine you're trying to get a job and I mean, you have to get the right keywords so
Mm.
the AI can find you and all of that. And you're applying for these job ads. There's thousands of people applying. I mean, it's a real nightmare. It's a minefield. So obviously, get your AI, your favorite LLM to optimize your LinkedIn profile and all of that.
Mm.
When you go up to exec search, right, we are advertising 0% of our jobs. 100% we're sourcing and we're finding people. And in exec search, again, a lot of search firms are using sourcing tools to find people. It could be on LinkedIn. If you go on LinkedIn Recruiter, which is one of LinkedIn's main like applications, their AI thing is looking for your keywords on your profile. So you have to be so optimized now for these AI tools to find you. Um, yeah, it's difficult for people. And for search, you have to either be found, so
Mm.
make sure your profile's optimized, and you either have to know me or you have to be referred to me. And so that part is you need to be visible online, personal brand, also be really good at networking, like building relationships, but over a long period of time. Not like, oh my God, I'm desperate for a job. Lewis, here's my CV. What have you got for me? Doesn't work. Right.
Don't leave it to the last minute when you
No, no,
desperately
no, no.
need it. Curate
Yeah.
your network and who you know and what you know and
Yeah, yeah,
who you know more so.
yeah. And don't sell to, it's like, oh, Martin, let's catch up. No agenda, just let's chat. We chat about whatever, AI, da, da, da. And then, at some point in the future, maybe you are looking for a role or actually, you know what, I call you. I'm like, Martin, I'm looking for this CFO for this insurance broker. And you're like, speak to my mate, John. Right. And he's been referred. So suddenly, he's got the phone call. He gets on the list. He's got an opportunity to get that big job. And so, the exec level, it really still works around networks and stuff. So one thing I'd say while AI is doing its thing, just be really good at your human stuff. Just keep
Mm.
networking and staying in touch and things like that.
Yeah, a really good point because a lot of companies, like as you just had the McKinsey example there, they optimize the process to you see a person last or way down the chain after you've gone through either the CV scanning tool, a bot that interviews you or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's still that human connection. If you get on a phone at the end of that and you don't connect with that person who you're speaking to, whether that is with a hiring firm or it's with someone like yourself or a recruitment company, that it counts for more than a lot of people think.
Yeah, yeah. But also, you want to play a game that you think you're going to
Mm,
win.
mm.
Now, if you're applying to a job ad and there's thousands of people, your chances are it's hard, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
let's say you happen to know someone let's use McKinsey as another example.
Uh,
I know you met them from somewhere, you stayed in touch, you followed their LinkedIn content, and then you're like, hey, actually, I'm looking to roll into McKinsey, et cetera, et cetera. You're kind of like more likely to get referred perhaps to a hiring manager. It de-risks it for them because it's a
yeah.
referral rather than 1,000 people they might not know on a job ad thing. I think one message for me is just whatever industry or whatever level you're at, the networking thing is just incredible. I mean, it's just really worth investing time in.
And I saw your post, I don't know when it was, it must be maybe a month, 2 months ago, about the candidate who sent their AI avatar
Oh my
to
God.
an
I mean, that is
interview. I mean,
literally,
that blew my mind. Blew my
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a whole world out there. There was a Gartner study, and they polled hiring managers, quite a big study. I think 40% admitted that they had interviewed someone that was not a human, it was an avatar. So it's crazy. So the story that you were recounting is a friend of mine. He's got a small firm and I did an ad, interviewed someone,
Mm,
joined on Teams. But the guy, I mean, he was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Call me up. He said, what should I do? I interviewed this person. I really like them. I said, well, and in the same city as you. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So drop him a note, say, great, great interview. Let's meet for a coffee. Just meet them in person and stuff. So he emailed them, and the email he got back was, just to let you know, that was my avatar plugged into ChatGPT. I mean, it's crazy. Like, go on Instagram, right? And you have all of these like AI influencers
mm.
marketing their lovely, smooth skin because they applied this particular like moisturizer and they're AI. I mean, it's like it's crazy. It's crazy. There was actually in America, it's called the North Korean IT worker scandal. And a few years ago, there was a raft of people interviewing for jobs remote. They would get the job, then they would get paid by this North Korean firm or whatever. Um, and the North Korean would turn up with an avatar lip synced, and then and there was a thing in America. So it's allegedly, let's say allegedly, but it happens. How do you know that
Mhm.
teammate of yours that you've never met in person is a real person? And they are so good, these avatars. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, they are, yeah. I mean, all the. I mean, I've not created an AI avatar from that sense, but I've played around with the 11 Labs voice cloning,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you record a voice, you're reading the book out for I don't know 15 minutes or whatever, and then it's got a perfect voice clone of you. And
Amazing.
I've not used it for job interviews yet, but
Well, I went to this. There's a website called Higgsfield AI, and they have all of the video and audio models. I should have shared my screen and showed you, but you can literally put in a photo of yourself, and you could say 5 seconds, animate it, like picture me having a coffee.
mm,
I mean, it's just next level, and it takes you one little prompt, and you know, it's really good. There's actually forget the company name, but that you do a little few minute video of yourself,
mm,
and it comes back to you a day later with your AI avatar. And so when you join a Zoom or Teams or Meet, it gives you the option to select your avatar. So it's me like dressed in a suit, and it's me behind. I'm lip syncing. You don't know it's
mm.
not, or it's me in like a t-shirt, or it's me in a. So you don't even have to turn up as like, let's say I'm just having a bad hair day,
Yeah.
and you
If
rock up
suddenly turn up with
full
with
head of
ginger
hair.
hair on.
And all, yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, it's just that is crazy. But it's a big problem. I did a podcast with CEO of this company called Get Real Labs, and their focus is, well, is it how do you know the person you're interviewing is real? How do you know the person that's turned up for the job is real?
Yeah,
So there's a bit of like tech around it, and a lot of firms are trying to solve the problem of like almost like a passport of like, yes, I'm a human. I've tapped in my fingerprint. et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I mean, it's a scary world sometimes. I mean, that's where it comes back to, the point you made right at the start. It's about human connection and, people who know people and know people through your network and, everything like that. But, yeah, the technology is crazy. But in terms of the kind of news headlines about, Oracle cutting 30,000, Amazon cutting however many thousand, Accenture doing the same, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that's a true reflection of actually what's happening with AI in the workplace yet? Or is it more of a knee-jerk kind of, we want to invest elsewhere or we've overstructured the company before when hiring was cheap and we're just using AI as a scapegoat, or is it a combination?
Yeah, I think probably a mix. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, definitely, I think a lot of big firms have probably used AI as an excuse to trim a bit of headcount. I mean, the markets have been very up and down and the economy's been very turbulent in the last couple of years. Some firms have done really well, others have struggled, and a lot have just kind of rebalanced and stuff. I mean, definitely a lot of jobs are changing. There's some that, you look at and you're like, that's not going to exist soon. I think there's a lot that will and are already starting to drop. But for me, I'm just of the opinion there's just so many incredible opportunities coming and are coming, and new jobs will be created. And I think for me, I'm a very optimistic about the future. Maybe naively, but I know I've got a very optimistic lens in it. So, and you ask your question about the redundancies, I think it's probably depending on the firm. Some firms, maybe it's a mix. They wanted to cut anyway. Some genuinely. So I spoke to a friend of mine at one of the large tech firms as an example, and he used to have 9 in his HR team running a very, very large unit. And he went down to 2 plus a bunch of AI agents doing various different things. So there's an awful lot of jobs where you can automate, you can use agents, you don't need so many humans. And those jobs will naturally start to fall away. But others will be created. I don't think agents are going to completely take over yet. I still think you need humans in the loop, and all of this stuff. Obviously, it depends on the role, and there's so many kind of variations of it. But yeah, for me, I'm super optimistic, and I think for individuals, I mean, you need to be on it. You need to know what an agent is and an LM is. You need to be able to use it. If you're going for a job interview, I think a lot of leaders now will want to know how can you leverage these tools to be more efficient, optimize, do your job better, produce more stuff. You really need to be on it. The train's left the station. Like, I think it was Jensen Wang said that AI won't replace your job, but someone using AI will replace your job. And I think that's completely true.
Yeah, I mean, having used the tools like you, you're probably a bit more further ahead. I know you've used OpenClaw, which we'll come into in a second.
Yes,
but having used the tools, and I use it to automate a lot on the Microsoft environment, and Claude moved from using ChatGPT to Lovable to build a website and an app, to then switching fully to Claude Code and using that now. And it's just a progression. I think it's definitely one of those technologies where you need to play with it in order to understand how you get the best out of it. It's not like somebody just slaps a new CRM on your computer and says, there you go. It's essentially another shiny database to use. This is a fundamentally different way of using technology. And I think that play and iterate and see how it works for you. How do you get the best out of it? You need that learning curve. Otherwise, you're going to fall away and fall behind really, really quickly.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, you have to play with stuff. I mean, I think it's, if you don't try things, you won't feel the benefits, right? You'll be one of those people who's like, I tried it, I inputted something, it wasn't a great answer. It doesn't always get it right, does it? Not for me. You hear that. I think with anything, you have to use it intensely, like absolutely intensely, to feel the real benefit from it. And intensely means like, it might be doing something, whatever. Let's say you're doing a document, whatever that might be. And it's not just like a 1-word prompt, or you might be iterating for an hour or something on whatever, conversation with your LLM, or you've got to, I think, be prepared, to your point, just to really try it, to use it. Otherwise, you're just not going to feel the benefit, and you're going to be one of those people who's like, I tried it, wasn't that great, or hallucinates all the time. It's not very good. Like it's actually like a human. You've got to spend time teaching it, training it, giving it context about you, about how you write, or whatever the project you're doing. Give it as much context as you can, and go deep. And then I think then you'll really feel the impact of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know Anthropic, the makers of Claude, came out with their reports on the industry and what industries have the kind of theoretical exposure versus what has been realized. And OpenAI have just come out with a similar report, I think last week or the beginning of this week. And it's interesting. OpenAI's report is a bit, I've not read it all yet, but that is about, that they've kind of categorized the roles. They've said about 18 are at high risk of being automated. So like you're really admin heavy, copy paste from one system to another. And then you've got 46% that are likely to have little change in the next few years, but then the kind of 36% elsewhere is going to be redesigned, restructured. It's going to the roles are going to grow. You're going to be doing something completely different today than you were able to do yesterday. It just depends what category, where your role fits into that category, what business you're with, what legacy systems are in place, and how quickly the adoption curve is. But it does still always come back to, regardless of all that, you need to get ahead of the curve with using the tools and start using it now. Like
As an
you said.
individual, they're all 20 quid a month. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
20 quid a month. You can cancel it at any time. Use any of them, whatever, who cares? ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. I mean, just as a baseline, just try some of the stuff. And then you can start to be a bit more progressive and you can automate things and you can, it gets more and more useful the more you get into it.
Mm.
From a company perspective, I think you're going to have Optimus Prime agents very soon running companies, and maybe put all of your data into your AI manager or your AI CEO, like Lewis Maleh AI CEO, whatever. And it's all linked into everything. It's, when are we expecting our invoices to be paid? How's the search going? This, that, all of the data and the context around our whole firm, it will be able to pull out and start to influence decisions and give us insights and all of those things. And, will free me, other people up to do other high value stuff. So I think it's for me, it seems to be going that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. Looking at everything in the papers I've never read a paper for years, but in the on LinkedIn certainly the AI echo chamber that I seem to be in at the minute. But so how are you specifically then? How are you and Bentley Lewis using AI across your day to day? How's that changed?
So we started out, right? Remember from the conversation, we do a team call every day, half an hour, unstructured, for Monday to Wednesday and then Thursday down at whatever. But just off the bat, we talk about it with each other, and we've always talked about new technologies and what's coming. We share articles, we share YouTube videos, we learn together, and throughout these last few years, we've been on this journey together, learning about these new tools, whether it's an LLM, which has just basically been like search plus, where you can do deep research. It can help us with documents. It can transfer data from one place to another. I mean, there's an incredible amount of stuff. Then we started using Gemini. So our kind of, in our company, we've had Google from the start, and they started to release Gemini in every Google product. So they've got Gemini.com or the Gemini app. So again, it's been a super powered Google search for a long time. And we've been using it constantly. Then it goes into Gmail, then it goes into Calendar, then it's Drive, and suddenly we're starting to use it more and more for the insights and stuff. We're using it to transcribe interviews, to get insights from the interviews and all this kind of stuff. Then so I built an OpenClaw agent, and then my colleague Dave, he built his OpenClaw agent. Now, if you don't know about OpenClaw, for those that don't know, chuck it into your favorite LLM and it will explain it for you. Because you know what the wonderful thing is nowadays is if you have an idea, you can make it happen. And if you don't know how to do it, you just ask your favorite LLM and it will tell you. OpenClaw is an open sourced, like kind of agentic AI agent harness, and you can build an agentic AI agent. And the difference is, maybe for those that don't know, an LLM, a language model, large language model, is you put an input in, and then you get an output. It's kind of binary, tell me everything you know about Martin, and it will come back to me with everything it knows about Martin. I mean, tell me a bit more, whatever. Whereas an agent works autonomously on multiple tasks. So, for example, I could say, like, I want to go see Martin in Yorkshire. Find me the train time that gets me in at this time. Here's his address. Book me a hotel nearby. Here's my credit card details. Send me the ticket. Send me an invite and share it with Martin. That's kind of multi-step, right? It will have access to my browser. It will come up with trying to find the right cheapest thing and the times. So it's quite a kind of complex multi-task thing. So that's what an agent does. But then also, not only that, but beyond that is these agents at OpenClaw is that they are on 24/7 and they are learning and developing as they go. So, for example, you get this OpenClaw agent. Our first one was to help us with marketing, and it comes online and it says, "Hey, who am I? Who are you? What's my tasks? How do you want to interact with me?" And so, as a team, we decided we talked through what do we want our AI agents to do? Like, what's the kind of the guidelines, the guardrails? Do we want them speaking with humans or not? How do we want it to communicate with us? Like, what's the, kind of what are the guardrails? So we talked a lot about that. We put that in place. So that was really set. It has a personality. It has a memory file it updates. And then every night, this is super cool. Every night, our AI agent reflects on what they've done that day, what's done well, what hasn't done well, writes it in a Google Doc for us, shares it with us on WhatsApp, and then writes it into her memory. We call it her, we call it Nina, right into her memory. And it's iterating and it's learning. And it's a crazy thing. And we communicate on WhatsApp. I have a one-on-one, we have a team chat. I mean, it's like just an incredible help. And the more you engage, the more you input, the more it learns, and the more useful it is. And then we have a few agents doing different tasks. So that's the OpenClaw experience. And then what you'll find is the guy that founded it, Peter Steinberger, he got poached by OpenAI. And what you're seeing now is all of these big hyperscalers and big tech firms are all starting to release their own AI agents. So you don't have to be like OpenClaw. It's a bit more technical, working out to set it up and plug stuff in. But all of these agents it's kind of simple. You have like data, you have skills, and then you have an output. And all of these companies started to release them, whether it's Claude, OpenAI will, Microsoft will, Google are. So, we're all going to be using agents to do various tasks for us, and not just one, but you'll have multiple agents running at the same time, doing stuff for you. It's a really cool kind of moment, I think. It's also, speaking with my team about this yesterday, there's so many things being released, like every day. It's a bit of a minefield. It's like, oh my God, like, oh, I'll try that. And no, I'll try this one. And like, there's Perplexity Computer, there's Claude, Google. I mean, they're all, they're all doing it. And you're like, what do I use? So
I mean, so there is that much coming out at the minute. You're right. And since OpenClaw came out, well, certainly I'm a bit of a fanboy with Claude at the minute. They're just releasing thing it seems like every 10 minutes they're updating Claude Cowork, and then they've got Dispatch on top of it now, and then obviously they've made enhancements to Code, and then Codex just got rebooted last week from OpenAI, didn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got Elon Musk investing a lot in Cursor, which is another kind of coding. So a lot of these agents seems to be a lot of these things focus a lot heavily on coding for developers. So you can use Claude Code or Codex or whatever. And actually, since January, me and other teammates, because I've encouraged people to try and try this stuff, is we've built quite a few internal apps to help us with different parts of our of our work. Now, just by speaking our native language.
Yeah,
I don't speak Python. I don't speak C++ or whatever the different things is. I literally have an idea, and you can talk to your. So in my case, we also use Claude and Claude Code. And I love voice to text. My favorite app right now is Whisper Flow. So I just press the button, I talk, and I created these things like these apps and all of this amazing stuff. And I couldn't have done it in 25. Couldn't have done it in 25. Like I just didn't have the.
No, there's two kind of things I just want to pull out on that. The first one, your last point there, just how much has progressed, even in the space of 5 or 6 months. And so that, it's getting easier and easier and easier to build these agents. I mean, I've never used OpenClaw, but I've done it similar on Claude, and I've done similar in Lovable, building an app, in that to some extent, but it wasn't as connected to what you can now just do out of the box.
It's crazy. I was going to say no, because my OpenClaw, I mean, you have these, it sends me stuff, but they're called cron jobs. So, you set up a cron job and it runs so for example, like, Monday at 9 a.m., it's set to go do research. So our marketing OpenClaw bot it's connected to Claude, it's connected to Perplexity, and it goes and researches for us. Goes and researches what's trending, what we should be thinking about. It writes us a research document, informs me and the team of what's going on. And that's just off the bat every Monday. And that's really cool. And that's useful stuff, right? It's distilled all these various things. It cites the sources. If anyone on the team wants to double click and go and read the article it's citing, it can. They can. So
yeah, it is impressive the setup that you've got there. I think you're advanced in terms of a lot of other companies because you're willing to try it, and that comes back to the second point I was going to say was the way that you've interacted with your team and brought your team with you and had that conversation, been up front and said, look, we're going to try these things. Let's jump on board and let's do it together as a group, or in a couple of you together at a time, or however you're doing it. I think that's the big takeaway that some leaders, managers might be a bit afraid to do because they don't understand it themselves and they don't want to be seen to be the person who doesn't understand it when they're leading a team. And I think that's
I'm not an expert. Really not. But to your point is if you don't try stuff, and I know they've been with me for a lot. Some of them have been with me quite a long time, and let's just learn together, right? And worse. For my team, I think it's just they have to. And if some of them might stay with me their whole career, some won't. Either way, if you can leave or you can learn, it's just such a great thing to do, right? And you shouldn't be thinking about it of I don't want to invest the time because they might leave me, or I don't want to invest them. Some people they have this odd mindset, these leaders. But for me, you want to be working with your team, helping them develop, and just everyone wins.
Yeah,
everyone wins.
It just reminded me of that quote. I don't know who said the quote. I want to say Richard Branson, but I don't think it was. It was, what if we train them and they leave? Or what if we pay to train them and they leave? And then, well, what if we don't train them and they stay? And it's that kind of...
And also, hey, just be a good human. Help people out, right? Give them knowledge, give them the opportunity to learn, give them the space to learn. Of course people will leave. It's fine. It's like in sport. Some players are with their team their whole career. Most of them aren't. A few seasons, move on, you wish them well, thank them for their time. They'll thank you. And who knows when you're going to, interact with these people again and you might work with them again. To my earlier point of networking, so many people I speak to have been tapped on the shoulder by past bosses or past team members and things like that for opportunities. So apart from just being a good human, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Learn together.
I agree. I could talk about this for ages with you, honestly, but we're quickly running out of time and we each need to pivot into the second part, which is about the three takeaways. So this part is where I will ask you just to give out three. It could be a piece of advice, it could be a book, it could be a inspirational quote that gets you out of bed in the morning that people could take away maybe as a result of our conversation today.
Yeah.
So what's thing one?
Well, let's just round up the AI chat, and I think go try stuff. Don't hold back. The train has left the station, and don't be that person saying that combine harvester is not taking my job. It's gone, right? It's finished. It's cheap. You're not talking about investing thousands and thousands of pounds. And just, I said this to one of my colleagues. I'm like, take a week off, take a holiday day, a week holiday, and then literally try and just go deep on AI. And then, do you know what? You're sitting there thinking, I'm not really sure even how to do it. Go ask your LLM what you need to learn. Just literally go in and be like, hey, I've got no idea how you work. What are the 10 things I need to know first? And literally just do that. And you're really on the path and you'll be like, oh my God. And then you see something that you're not quite sure how to do. Take a screenshot, upload it to your LLM and ask it. So the wonderful thing is now is that literally you can learn anything because it's an incredible learning tool. So go spend a week. You'll thank me later. It's like an MBA, but on your own. It's so good.
So in the past, when I've gone on holiday and I've taken something to kind of focus on while I've been away, not necessarily sat at a computer screen all the time, but you've got that downtime to really use it to learn about stuff or whatever. So yeah, great tip. I think that's fantastic.
Right, that's my one tip.
Okay.
Now something on personal care. I'm a big advocate, and I do this is I diarize my exercise. I put in the diary like it's the most important meeting of my day. I do 5 to 6 days a week. It might sound a lot, but that's only 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours a week. You've got 24 hours in a day, right? So whatever kind of where you are on your fitness journey or not, it can literally just be an hour walk. It could be a hardcore CrossFit sesh. It could be a run, weights, whatever it is for you. But I think, we're all going to be working for a long time. I think you've got to treat yourself like a professional athlete. I heard this quote over at Easter: is train today for what you want to be able to do when you're 80. Right. So, I mean, I'm way past being a professional athlete. I mean, it was a dream. It never made it. But just train for longevity. Like you need to be in the game. If you're not on the pitch, you can't play. And, you see a lot of people, there's a lot of burnout, unfortunately, or just lots of different stuff. And so for me, exercise is for physical and mental health. And, you go into a hard workout or even just a nice walk, and literally those endorphins, and you just feel better. You think about things more clearly. And that's literally an absolute non-negotiable for me. I want to continue to do that for as long as I can. And it's really important. So that's number 2 for me, is just look after yourself.
Yeah. Powerful stuff. Yeah.
Then number 3 is, again, going back to the human stuff, is invest time in your network. So staying in touch with people. It could be your personal network. We always lose touch with friends. I was speaking to a friend the other day. I was like, mate, I haven't spoken to you in like, why? How long's it been? We see each other every day at uni and things. Just make time for friends. It's nothing quite like meeting an old friend. Whatever's going on in your life and work and this and that. The minute you go have a chat with an old friend that's known you for years, they just see right through whatever's. So spend time with friends and family. Invest time in your business network. Don't be one of those people that just like calls when you need a job or something. So LinkedIn makes it so easy. So literally go make a coffee and maybe spend, 5 minutes a day just popping a note out. Oh, hey, how's it going? Let's catch up soon, whatever. How's work going? Just something nice. Doesn't take much effort. Maybe have a few video calls a week with some business friends from old companies and stuff. Make sure you know some headhunters when you get into that exec level, because these jobs aren't advertised. So invest time in doing that. And then I think you're putting yourself in a decent spot.
Fabulous. There are 3 really strong practical tips as well. Everything there you could take away and take action on tomorrow. Get up, do some exercise, send a 5-minute message, and learn about AI all in one hit.
I mean, literally, you can be like, I'm going on a walk.
Yeah.
To my AI, just check my LinkedIn out and tell me which 5 people I should reach out to today. And then leave your phone on the table. Let me take you for your walk. Go for your walk, come back, and you're rocking.
Fantastic. Multi-skilling at its best.
That's it. So,
okay. Where can people find you? Where can I redirect people to meet Lewis Maleh?
Drop me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Lewis Maleh. My podcast, The Recruitment Show, is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, also on YouTube. So if you want to follow me there as well, I'm also on X. And feel free to drop me a DM if you need any help, advice, whatever. And I hope you enjoy the content. I'm speaking a lot about careers, work, future work, all of those things. So hopefully it's useful to some folks.
Yeah. It definitely is. I mean, like I said, I listen to your posts quite a lot, and your podcasts when I get a chance to listen to them. And, I know quite a few of I saw one of my colleagues actually had liked and commented on some of your posts. Yeah, look, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
So look, thank you very much for your time. I do genuinely appreciate it. And, full of takeaways. This for everyone listening. If you have genuinely found this useful, hit follow or subscribe. And if you haven't already, a review or rating genuinely does help the program. And just as a reminder, the AI Leadership Roadmap is available on the AILeaderLab.com. The link is in the show notes, along with all the show notes for Lewis's links on his podcast and X and LinkedIn. So that's it. Until next time, bye-bye for now. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.